everyone on this rainy night, but thankfully it's warm enough just for rain, because 20 degrees cooler would have been snow and we might have been doing this all remotely anyway. But so welcome to our last meeting of the year. And it's been a pretty good year, I must say, with all the speakers. And we're already working on some stuff for next year, and you'll hear more about that in a bit. So our usual agenda, for those of you who've been here in the past, we thank our sponsors. We talk about what's new. I'll introduce Amol, and then after his presentation, I'll come back and we'll talk about some other things that are up and coming, especially conferences and some deals at some upcoming conferences in, I believe it's late April into May. So, all right, our gold sponsor is Payara. They do middleware, and they're based out of England. And so we appreciate their support. And they have a conference that's starting tomorrow. Again, they'll talk more about that. Our silver sponsor is Azul. They have the downstream distribution of OpenJDK. Oops. There we go. Our partner is DevNexus, and DevNexus 2025 is scheduled for March 4th through 6th next year. And we'll talk more about that too, so as we go. All right, and our per meeting sponsors is JetBrains. Of course, they're the folks that make IntelliJ IDEA. They also make WebStorm and ReSharper and all these other IDEs for various programming languages. And then, of course, Jakarta EE and the Eclipse Foundation, they provide crowdcast hosting for all the Java user groups around the country, actually around the world, more importantly. All right, our memberships, you've seen this before, I'm sure, the Jakarta EE ambassadors, Microprofile Working Group, Jakarta EE Working Group, and the Virtual Jug. And we're very active in those areas. So who the heck are these Jakarta EE ambassadors? All right, so we're an independent grassroots group of folks committed to moving forward Jakarta EE through advocacy. So all of us are pretty active in promoting Jakarta EE. We just had the Jakarta One conference last Tuesday. And so that's what we do. We meet once in a while, we talk about conferences and getting ourselves in the conference by submitting abstracts and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's see. All right, so the big news is JDK 24, scheduled to come out in March of next year, is in ramp down phase 1. And what that means is all the features that people have been working on to get that in JDK 24, now that feature set is frozen. Generally, there was one exception, but generally, though, this is it. You can't add any more, and you can't take any out. All right, so there are 24, and this increased from last month. I think there were about 19 at the time, if I remember correctly. But all of these here, some of them are in preview, third preview for flexible constructor bodies. You'll see experimental, like compact object headers and the generational Shenandoah. Because, JDK is released every 6 months. And then you see all the other ones here. I'm not going to go through them all. All right, 24 of them. The release schedule, as I said, ramp down phase 1 was last Thursday. I think that was the 5th. And then phase 2 will be in mid-January, and then you'll have your release candidates, and it'll be a GA release on March 18th of next year. So, all right, Jakarta EE 11. I've talked about this for a number of months now. There has been a bit of a delay in getting the GA release out, which was supposed to be in July, but it was decided to work on the technology compatibility kit, or the TCK, to make it more robust. And the core profile passed all the reviews, and there are compatible implementations. So the core profile was just released a few days ago. You can get it on Maven Central once they put it out there, but then the platform and web profiles will most likely be released in the first quarter of next year. But once this is done, and even though it's been delayed, longer than they anticipated, the long-term effects are going to be, quite good. And Jakarta EE 12, what the heck? Jakarta EE 11 isn't even out yet, right? So, but yes, there's already work being done for Jakarta EE 12. And then there's a new future directions group for which myself and the Garden State Java user group are a member. So we started doing some initial meetings, and just to talk about what kind of new specs, for example, AI has been tossed about, whether that lands up in microprofile or Jakarta EE, that to be determined. So those are the kind of things that we've been working on. All right, and these are the finalized, all the new 16 out of the 30 specs that are part of the platform. All right, they talked about the random drawing application. And then tonight we're going to raffle off this book. It is Optimizing Cloud Native Java by Ben Evans and James Goff. And some of you may remember Ben visited with us in April of 2018. So he was the previous lead editor in the Java space at InfoQ. So I had some pretty big shoes to fill when I took that over 3 years ago. So Ben's an awesome writer. And so anyway, so we're going to raffle that off tonight along with IntelliJ. All right, so we have Amol Gote. And first of all, I need to thank him. I met him at the TCF Professional Conference back in March. And we originally agreed to October. And we had the opportunity, I think we had the guy that Mary met at the InfoQ Dev Summit Boston, and he was only available in October. So I asked Amol, and he graciously said he'd come this month. So thank you very much for working with us on that. So all right. So Amol need the reading glasses. Seasoned technology professional, adept at building scalable, resilient microservices in both Java and .NET. .NET still a thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get that shot in there. He excels in deploying and managing microservices in AWS and the Azure environments, boasting technical proficiency across multiple applications and tools. His expertise spans full stack capabilities, from designing to constructing end-to-end solutions that include databases, back-end services, messaging services, and modern interactive web application using WebSockets. Currently serving as a solutions architect at a fintech startup, Amol has built the underwriting platform from scratch, along with multiple horizontal and vertical business domain-specific microservices. Previously, he has engaged in consulting roles with major clients like Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and the Associated Press, and has worked with Microsoft for 7 years. With over 18 years of experience, Amol is passionate about writing blogs and technical articles for online platforms like DZone, Baildong, and InfoQ. Awesome. So he has also served as a judge and mentor at various hackathon events. Amol's commitment to excellence is evident in his multiple certifications, including AWS Certified Solutions Architect and various Microsoft certifications. Well, you've been busy. So without further ado, thanks for coming out, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Michael already introduced me. Am I audible? Yeah, like this is working, right?
Is that, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Michael has already introduced me. So my name is Amol Gote. So I work for a company called as Innova Solutions, and I'll delve into my introduction slide as well. Now, what we are going to present over here is basically digital signing of documents. And digital signing of documents is a very common ask nowadays. You guys must have done it as well, right? In your daily routines, be it for lease agreements or any other legal document signing, right? So there are a lot of vendors in this space, like DocuSign is a very prominent one. And then there are many others as well, like Adobe Sign, Sign Now. Then Dropbox also has its own offering called as Dropbox Sign, with the help of which you can digitally sign the documents. So in this presentation, we will delve into how we can build an equivalent capability using open source frameworks and tools instead of using these frameworks. And I'll talk about the case study of iCreditWorks as well, where we replaced one of these vendors basically, and we built our own in-house service. And I'll get into the details of the technical stack of the service, the API, and it's an open, it has been open sourced as well. So we'll talk about the open source project as well. So here is an agenda. So the first thing, I'll start with my introduction. I'll just repeat what Michael has said. I'll give some more clarity around it as well, like specifically for .NET and Java and all that. Then we'll delve into a demo as well as key takeaways. Then we'll delve into the case study of iCreditWorks, right? Why we decided to build our own e-signing service. Then we'll delve into e-signing service details like the tech stack associated with it, what all components are there. We use Java, Spring, and many other technologies over there. So I'll cover those. Then we'll talk about security measures, because once you sign the legal document, you need to ensure that the document should not be tampered, right? So how do we ensure the security measures for protecting these PDF documents? Then we'll talk about the open source availability of this microservice, with the help of which you can take this microservice, host in your own environment, and you can incorporate in any of your startup or fintech applications. And finally, the boring part, I'll cover some of the regulatory standards associated with digitally signing the legal documents. So about myself, so currently I work as a consultant. So basically I work as an for a company called as Innova Solutions, which is a consulting company. I work in the consulting business unit. Through them, I work as a solution architect for a fintech organization called as iCreditWorks. I've been associated with iCreditWorks since its early days, like when it started in like 2018, and I joined like in 2019. So I was like part of like first 20 members. We have grown from almost like 20 folks to almost like 70 to 75 folks now. So we have seen rapid growth in last 4-5 years as well. And at iCreditWorks, I'm primarily responsible for loan application and loan origination journey. Okay. And then as part of iCreditWorks, I've helped build them a lot of their backend services, a lot of their backend infrastructures, multiple utility services. Like there are a lot of services like we have built for sending client communications, digitally signing the documents, which we are going to talk about here, as well as, and the list could go on, right? So, and then my expertise is building obviously microservices and event-driven services. I do contribute to DZone, InfoQ. I have written a lot of articles on DZone. You can search me, DZone Amol Gote, you should be able to find. I serve as judge to a lot of these industry awards and hackathons. And then as far as my experience is concerned, I was earlier working with Morgan Stanley. I spent quite a bit time with Associated Press, Bank of America, and a considerable amount of time with Microsoft Consulting Services, where I worked with multiple clients like Best Buy Canada, LexisNexis, and many of them. Okay, so before we delve into the presentation, I'll give you a quick demo. Okay, so demo is essentially a video. I was hoping that I can present my mobile application itself, but I think we'll have some challenges around. Okay, so I'm just playing this video. So there are two demos which I'm going to present. The first one is a native application. So what you are seeing here is a native application. So so as part of the loan application journey, one of the steps for the applicant is to sign the legal document, right? So this is the step that the user is going through. So as you can see over here, he's just reviewing an elaborate document. We call it as the master promissory note. It's basically like a lot of terms and conditions and all legal stuff over here. But on a technology side, what you are seeing over here is basically an HTML document, which is rendered within the web view inside the native app. Web view is essentially a browser instance. Okay, so that is what you are seeing over here. So as the user scrolls through, at the end when he completes the whole agreement review, right, you'll see a button for let's sign. So I'll just fast forward this video a bit. So these are again all terms and conditions. So once he scrolls over here, okay, so here we'll see the let's sign. So once he clicks let's sign over here, here this native pop-up which we are showing, this pop-up which you are showing is basically a native pop-up for Android or iOS, and user will here will capture the signature. And once the signature is been captured, basically the signature gets posted, and then we send them back the signed document over here. And for whatever reason, if the user doesn't like the signature, then you can always click on this icon and go through the re-signing process. So once the user is comfortable with the document, he just clicks next, and then the signing process gets completed. So that's our.
I have a question. Android only or Android and iOS?
Android, iOS.
Native? What?
Both.
Both native?
Both native, yes.
Yep.
And cross-platform, right?
So like our applications, we have built like native applications. They are different. So they are not like Xamarin or any of this. Basically, it's like native apps. Now this is my second demo. So okay. So it's a similar construct over here. The only subtle difference over here, it's not a native app. It's just a web application inside which we are asking the user to go through the agreement signing. So what you're seeing over here is basically an agreement which we signed with a dental network. So our model is basically we have tie-up with these large dental networks. So whenever these dental networks get onboarded, right? As part of the onboarding, one of the steps is to sign an agreement with us. So they will basically use this. One of the step is to sign a document over here. So that's the flow I'm showing over here. So what I'm trying to show over here is we have covered two different channels. One is a web browser and other is a native app. We wanted to have a very consistent look and brand experience, right? Which we were not able to achieve with the help of the partner which we were using or the external vendor which we were using. But when we built our own, basically we were able to go like similar kind of an experience, and as well as branding as well across different channels. So those were the two demos. I'm just going to close this and switch back to my presentation here. Okay, so one thing which I really wanted to highlight is like we were able to achieve very seamless user experience across different channels. That's the one thing I wanted to reiterate over here. That's the rationale behind showing two demos, one with a native app and one with a web browser. Okay, so now let's talk about why we decided to build our own in-house e-signing service, right? The case for building our own in-house e-signing service. Now, building an in-house service is not merely a technical decision, but more of a strategic one. It involves evaluating various factors like cost effectiveness, customization possibilities of with the help of possibilities of such a service compared to a third-party e-signing service, right? And then I'll cover like some of the aspects related to it. The first was the cost efficiency, right? So relying on external partner who are digitally signing the documents, right, involves a cost. Okay, so there's a per signature cost. And these costs can accumulate very rapidly if you have a huge volume of documents. Let's say if you have 100,000 funded loans, right? And if there is a, like, let's say $1 signature cost, then it's going to be 100,000 as a cost for digitally signing the documents, right? So and for us, we are like a growing startup, so our loan volume is continuously keeps on growing. So the more the documents we have, the more cost is going to costly it is going to be. Okay. The second key factor was reduced external dependencies, right? So our product offering hinges on numerous external APIs. So one of them being the digital signing of documents, right? The e-signing service. In this case, it was an external service. We wanted to reduce some of these dependencies. So that's why that was another reason basically why we decided to build our own in-house e-signing service. And if you have an external service or external third-party service, right, there are always issues and then that you need to deal with. The first one is basically availability of the service, right? If the service is down, then you need to ensure you have an appropriate business continuity plan as well as an appropriate mitigation plan if the service is down, right? And then the second key factor is a lot of these e-signing services partners like DocuSign, Adobe Sign, they have their own frameworks. So we have to deal with their framework upgrades and all that, right? So we need to keep up with their frameworks as well. So that was the second factor for us. The third very important factor was enhanced UI customizations, right? So the user interface possibilities for mobile or web browsers are confined to the capabilities of that external partner, right? So we cannot do anything more than what they offer, and we wanted a more granular control of the entire user experience or the UI in general, which we are not able to achieve with this external partner. So that was like a very big reason we decided to build our own in-house service. Okay, so those were like three different factors for which we decided to build our own e-sign service. Now, I want to talk about the case study of iCreditWorks. So over here, I'll give you like all the challenges that we had, background, and then solution that we built, and then the process documents in brief. But later we'll cover the API details in much deep level. So before we delve into the case study, I want to talk about iCreditWorks. What is iCreditWorks? So iCreditWorks is a fintech company. So it's basically it's a point of sale lending platform that aims to modernize and streamline the lending process, right? At basically where the sale occurs, making it more efficient and customer friendly. Currently, iCreditWorks caters to dental financing. So we are into if you want to get your basically root canal or like any other treatments or dental implants, you can do financing with us. So that is one of our industry vertical, but we are rapidly expanding to other industry verticals like equipment financing. So equipment financing is again related to dental world only. So I wanted to explain as well like how this overall application process works as well, right? So typically, iCreditWorks has a tie-up with these large or small dental networks. So whenever you walk into an office which belongs to one of these networks, the front office team will send you a link. Using that link, you either can download our app to go through the loan application, or you can just use the mobile web app to just get pre-qualified and complete the subsequent steps using the native application. And one of the steps of that application is basically to sign the digitally signing the documents. There could be multiple documents depending on the vertical and the compliance needs as well. So that's how the loan application journey works. Okay. Now, as far as the challenges that we had, right? So the third-party e-sign services which we relied on had a per signature cost. So the signature cost was like 0.70 cents. Okay. So considering there are like 100,000 funded loans annually, which we anticipate anyway. So the overall cost for this would be close to $100,000. And that was a significant cost to us. And obviously, again, I reiterate over here, having an external dependency has its own challenges with the service being down and the frameworks as well, right? Dealing with their framework upgrades and all the other stuff. One thing which we wanted to highlight, one another major business driving factor for us to build our own e-sign service was we were building, we were going to offer a new product offering called as buy now, pay later, or we call it as a pay in 4, which is an equivalent to buy now, pay later. And the loan ticket size for these loans is typically from $100 to $1,000. And since the loan ticket size is small, we are expecting like a huge volumes of loans and associated loan documents as well, right? And since the ticket size is very small, the margins are going to be very less. So we wanted to minimize the loan application cost. So that's why we wanted to get rid of some of these external dependencies. So e-sign was an easy bet for us to basically replace that external vendor by building our own in-house e-signing service. So recognizing these dual challenges of cost and branding, we decided to build our own in-house e-signing microservice. By transitioning to e-signing, our own e-signing microservice, we have achieved cost saving as well as a lot of like consistent branding, UI experience, as well as agility as well. we were able to make a lot of changes easily to on our UI as well compared to what we had like previously. So we went live with our own e-sign service in 2022. We first tried with 6 months with only one product offering, the one which I talked about, buy now, pay later, pay in full. But eventually in 2023, we didn't sign a renewed agreement with with the third party vendor, and we just went ahead and pre-positioned, not pre-positioned, but pushed the e-signing across all our product offerings. So that was the case study about iCreditWorks. Now, here we are going to talk about in detail the tech stack associated with e-signing service, right? There are like 4 key components over here. Spring Boot with Java. So basically, this is again, it's the first. This is again a Spring Boot application. This is like a standard REST-based API interface. We have only 2 APIs which sits inside this microservice. The first one is to get the document, and once you have the once you get the document, you sign the document, and you capture the signature and post that signature, get the signed document. So those are the 2 APIs. We'll delve into those 2 APIs in detail as well. And then the second one was second key component from the tech stack is generating and securing PDFs. So over here for generating and securing PDFs, we use a headless Chrome. There is a Maven package basically which wraps this headless Chrome, and then with the help of which you can convert any HTML document into PDF document. And once the PDF is being generated, we wanted to ensure that the document is not tampered with. So that's why we basically secure the PDF with a certificate, and I'll get into the details of it as well. And the third key component was cloud storage. Over here, we use AWS S3 to store all the documents as well as the signature. All documents are encrypted. We store the paths, equivalent path in our database, and all those things, all that stuff. If you are using Azure as a cloud storage, then you can basically use the Azure blob storage. If you're using Azure as a cloud platform, then you can use blob storage. And if Google Cloud Platform is your choice, then obviously you can use the Google's cloud storage platform. So as part of our open source project, right, all these cloud storage, then database, these are like independent components. So you can easily swap with your own implementation over there. And I'll get into the details when we talk about the open source details. The fourth key component is MySQL database. So over here we use MySQL database. So the database we are using primarily for storing all the document related artifacts, the initial payload which has been sent as part of the request, and many other things. And we'll talk about when we go into the 2 APIs in detail. Any questions so far? Okay. So as part of e-signing service, there are, I think I stated this earlier as well, there are 2 APIs, generate document for signing. This is the step where you are seeing the raw HTML document in the demo which you saw, right? First, we are just rendering the HTML document. Now, and the second API is basically where you post the signature. The app captures the signature, and then you post the signature, and then as part of that response, you get a signed document. So we'll delve into each of these APIs in detail. So first, let's start with the first API, generating the document. Now, over here, before we delve into the APIs, I wanted to explain the concept of templates, because template is a very important construct for us in general. We use the concept of templates across, like over here, as well as in a lot of other places for sending emails, generating hard copies of the letters, and also we have a concept of an inbox message in the mobile app. So over there, we need to show all these documents. Over there also we use a concept of template. So what is a template basically? So you see here, like this is how it will look. So template is essentially an HTML document. So it comprises of basically all these static text and all these variables over here. So if you see over here, these are templatized variables or tokenized variables. and these variables are replaced with actual values at runtime. So first we fetch the values, and then the values are sent as part of the API request body. So if you see over here, these templated variables, right? These are basically being passed over here, and then I'll get into the API details as well. So I just wanted to be very clear what the template is. Basically, it's like a static HTML content. It's a HTML document which comprises of static HTML content and the tokenized variables. Now let's talk about the API details, right? So as part of the API, as part of the request body, we have the first parameter is a content type. So over there, content type could be HTML or PDF. And as part of the request body, we have a bunch of these parameters. So I'll go into explain each of these parameters in detail. So first is the doc code. So doc code is a document code or a template. So we have like this, like a lot of these templates, right? So whenever you have an agreement, right? So we support like multiple industry verticals. Now each industry vertical could have different loan agreements. So these loan agreements needs to be identified by a certain code. So that are a user-friendly code. So that's the document code which gets sent. Typically, we have a convention of calling it like ICD-NP, like MPN is a master promissory note, ICD is iCreditWorks document. So that's what it gets sent over there. And then the second parameter is the context ID. So again, context ID is a very important attribute. So what typically it stores the unique identifier for that document. Like what I mean by that is if someone is signing a loan agreement with us, that would be a loan account ID. If the office is signing an agreement with us or a user is signing an agreement with us, then it would be a document UID or an office UID. This way we can link the loan with that document. So that's the parameter. And then the fourth parameter is basically this fields. So fields is essentially a property bag. So it is a collection of key value pairs, and all the keys over here, if you see customer line, address, city, state, zip, right? So all those are the keys over here, and the values are the so as part of the API payload, along with these keys, you send these values. And when the template gets generated, when the document gets generated based on the template, we replace these values with the values which has been sent from the in the API call. So that's the construct of the API. I'll explain to you in detail what happens under the hood for this API. Okay. So this is the sequence diagram of the first API. So what happens under the hood? So the first step is basically we go as part of the API payload. We are sending the document code. So we go and fetch the template associated based from the cloud storage. So once the raw template has been fetched, then basically we parse the template and then fill in all the templated variables or replace the templated variables with the dynamic data, which is with the fields property bag values which have been set. This way we'll have a fully loaded HTML document. So where the static content is there and all the dynamic data has been replaced with the data which has been sent as part of the first API. So once we have the fully loaded HTML document, then what we do is we go ahead and generate a PDF. Okay, so this PDF is again using this Chrome headless and using the Maven package. So once the PDF document is generated, we save these HTML documents and PDF documents into cloud storage. And basically, as part of the saving, we get a unique path from the respective cloud storage providers, right? Like AWS S3 or Azure Blob Storage. So once we have these S3 paths, then we save this document path and all the other attributes, all the other request attributes which we will send as part of the payload. This includes the document code, the property bag, all the field values. And I'll explain why we have to store it. Basically, we have to store the state so that any subsequent API call which has been made, we can always load the state from the database because all the APIs have to be stateless over here. So once once the document path has been saved along with the data, along with the state, there's basically we return an acknowledgement. As part of the acknowledgement, there's a unique identifier for the document being generated. This document is then this HTML document is then sent to the consuming application. In this case, a native app or a web application. And along with it, we are sending the response header. As part of the response header, we send the document UID. So this way, if you are making any subsequent API calls, you can always send that document UID. Based on that, we can do subsequent actions for that document. So that was the first API. The second API is basically where this is a very simple API compared, from a construct perspective. But under the hood, there are a lot of things which are happening behind the scenes. So the first API is very easy. You just get the template, replace all the tokenized variables, and then basically return the HTML document, right? But in this case, there is a lot of things which happen behind the scenes. How the signature gets embedded within a document and all that, I'll explain you in detail. So as far as the construct is concerned, again, you are sending the e-sign document UID. So e-sign document UID is the same UID which was returned as part of the response header from the first API. And then as part of the request body, you are sending the user's captured signature. So the request body looks something like a multi-part form data. So you post that multi-part form data using the image which was captured on the mobile device or on the browser. So once that's how the API construct is. Just basically this parameter and then the request body is the signature over here. Now this is where the lot of things happen behind the scenes, right? So I'll get into details of each of these steps. Now this API gets called when the user has clicked captured the signature and clicks adopt and sign. When he clicks adopt and sign, that's when this API gets called, where they send the document UID, the consumer application document UID, and the user signature. So the first thing that happens is we go and fetch the document UID. Sorry, basically based on the document UID, we fetch the state. So whenever the API arrives, the first the API request has the document UID. Based on the document UID, we retrieve the state from the database. Now this state contains all the information like the document code, the fee, the whole property bag, the locale preference, and multiple other things which were sent as part of the first API. Okay. So the next step is once the state is loaded, we go and upload the signature to cloud storage. So the signature image which was sent as part of the API, we upload it to cloud storage. And then once we have saved the signature in the cloud storage, we get the signature path. We take that signature path and save in the database against the document UID. This way, we have all the linking of the signature with that document. Once that is done, then this is when after this is when the actual magic of embedding the signature inside the document happens, right? So over here we use a concept of like a pre-signed URL. So the biggest challenge for us has been how do we embed the signature inside the document? Because our goal was we'll have an image tag, we have a source attribute. Over there, we want to put a image URL, and it can't be a public URL, right? It has to be like a secure cloud URL. We could do it using other ways as well, but we thought that's like the simplest way and easy way to maintain as well. So so for us to achieve that, we use the concept of like a pre-signed URL. So what is a pre-signed URL? Pre-signed URL is basically a URL where you get access to a cloud resource for a specific time interval, and the time interval could be from couple of seconds to couple of days. So that's the step we do over here. So basically, we go and use we generate the pre-signed URL for our image which has been saved in the cloud. Okay. So now we have the template loaded. We have all the data associated with the template as well as the pre-signed URL. Now after this, what we do is we don't use the previously saved document. We go through and generate the document again over here. So as part of that flow, we first go and fetch the template from the cloud storage, and for that we use the same document code which was saved in the database earlier, right? And which we have pulled it through the earlier state information. So we pull the template. Then after the template has been pulled, we redo the whole thing again, where we replace all the tokenized variables with the data which we got from the state. And then after this, we appropriately place the pre-signed URL at the signature location over there. So once that is done, basically the whole HTML document is ready, right? You have the static content, dynamic variables, as well as signature. So now once that is done, we then generate a PDF. So for that PDF, again, we use Chrome headless. We again, it's a pretty simple API. And this once the PDF document is generated. Now, once the PDF document is generated, we need to ensure the integrity of the document. So what we do is we use a certificate issued by a certificate authority like Entrust to protect the document. So that's the thing we do over here. And along with signing, we also lock the PDF. So that lock with the password and all that. And once we have done all that, so we have an HTML document, we have a PDF document. So both of these documents we then save into cloud storage. So once they are saved in the cloud storage, we have the paths associated with those HTML document, PDF document. We then save the paths into our database. So that completes the whole process of generating the doc, basically loading the state, then saving the signature, generating the document with the signature embedded, and then signing the document with the certificate to ensure it's not tampered and all that. And finally, saving the final document in our database as well. So once all these steps are completed, then we return the signed document. So this signed document is an HTML document again over here to the consuming application. And then the applicant could see the signed document in either a mobile channel or a web browser over there. And once the user is comfortable with the signature, he can click next, and that marks the completion of the signing process. Now, for whatever reason, if he doesn't like the signature, right? So he basically he can click on that pen icon and go through the process again. So over there again, we repeat the same step point. It's exactly the same. So this is how the pre-signed URL looks. So it's pretty lengthy URL, and Azure also supports it. So it's a similar construct over there as well. Okay, so I wanted to delve into the signature embedding a bit in detail. Okay, so this is our section over here, right, where we have captured the signature, and this is an equivalent HTML content over here. So if you see over here, this is the dynamic variable, right, or the tokenized variable, and this is for the signature, and this is for other data elements. So the pre-signed URL which has been generated gets placed over here, and that's how the signature gets rendered over there. Now again, pre-signed URL, you can just copy paste that URL on the browser. You should be able to see the image for a limited time. Okay, so that's how the signature embedding works. But in our case, after using the pre-signed URL, we realize that we don't get that granular level of security, right? Because the pre-signed URL could be accessible for a couple of minutes as well. So we wanted like a more granular kind of an security mechanism to access these images. So what we have done, we have built our own way of basically accessing these images. So we call it as a limited time token or a one-time token use. So what we did was we built a new API which sits on basically it's our generic API which basically based on which you can access any document from cloud storage. But in this case, what we have done is we have appended a token to it, like a limited time token or one-time token code. So the way this API works is you pass the document UID. So this document UID is then basically used to retrieve the database path, right? And based on that path, you should be able to fetch the cloud document. But along with that document UID, you are also sending this token. So what this token ensures is basically it will look for the expiry date when associated with that token, right? If it is beyond the expiry, then it will basically start throwing 401, and also it will look for number of times the user or the consuming application has accessed this token this document UID using this token. If it has access beyond certain number of times, let's say 4 or 5 times, then it will again give you 4, not 1. This way, we had a very granular control instead of pre-signed URL. So eventually, we replaced the pre-signed URL over here instead of using pre-signed URL, we use this one-time token concept over here. And again, over here, I have written a very detailed blog post on DZone about this. You can go and read about it. I'll give you the DZone link at the end as well. Now, I wanted to talk about the e-sign certificate security measures, right? So there are a couple of things which we wanted to ensure to protect our documents, right? So we wanted to ensure that if the document is being signed, it cannot be tampered, right? You cannot modify any of these documents because, and I'll go into the regulatory aspect of it as well, like how do we, what are the bylaws associated with it and all. So as part of the e-signing, as part of the e-signing certificate, right? So once the PDF document is generated, we sign the PDF document with a certificate. So that process involves essentially you have the documents basically involves creating a hash, right, of the documents content, and then you encrypt that hash using the private key, and anyone who has access to the public key, right, can decrypt the hash and then compare the hash of the document with the decrypted hash. If the hash matches, then basically the document is not tampered, and if the hash doesn't match, then the document has been tampered. And I'll give you a demo as well, like I'll show you an example. The second aspect around security measures was storage security. All our documents which is stored in cloud are essentially encrypted, and even our PI data which we store in the database, it is encrypted. Anything at rest which is like PII data, we usually encrypt it. And we obviously use a very, very secure handshake protocol like an SSL to establish a communication between client and server.
Hi, we have a question here. It says, how are you handling distrust by Chrome?
By Chrome?
I'm reading it. How are you handling distrust by Chrome?
Does
that question make sense? If it doesn't, then
so the way it works for us, we it's basically like an headless Chrome browser which runs in the background. So we are not. So what happens is essentially we have an HTML document, and once the HTML document is converted to PDF document, so that's the part where we use Chrome headless. After the PDF document has been generated, we then encrypt, not encrypt, but sign the PDF document with Entrust certificate. So I don't think so. Chrome comes in picture for Entrust over there.
There's, I found something on the web.
Here you go.
I found something on the web. It's called Sustaining Digital Certificate Security Intrust Certificate Distrust. It was from June of this year, but was updated in November. So I can put the link in the chat on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about open source availability. So if you go to this URL, right? So we have open source this whole solution over here. And this solution is basically like a microservice. It's a Spring-based microservice. It has all the code related to generating PDF, signing the PDFs, and all that stuff over here. But there are like, when you set it up, basically you need to go through a couple of configurations over here. Like I've given all the configuration, like what all the environment variables you need to set, and what all configurations you need to put over here. So I've given some sample example over here, and then there is the similar video which I showed over here, right? Those videos are also over here. So the objective behind open sourcing this framework or this e-signing service was like any fintech startup or any other startup can definitely go ahead and take this microservice host in their own cloud environment or on-prem environment and start using it basically. So I've already talked with a company based in Florida. It's a fintech company. They have used a similar construct over here, exactly similar construct, but they have written in a different language over there. But the exactly same construct over there.
It's probably a different language because it's Florida.
I mean, they wanted to use Golang. Okay, so the final aspect I wanted to cover about the regulatory standards, right? So, again, the digital signing of documents, right? So it's governed by this e-sign act. So the e-sign act was passed in year 2000, and basically what it states is it gives an equivalent, I would say not power, but equivalent capability for digitally signing documents, which is same as that of handwritten signature on any other document, basically. So it has certain language on it. So it also provides certain guidance around record retention. There are a couple of compliance measures it wants us to ensure. So I want to talk about those. So first one is immutable. So once the document is generated, you cannot change the document, right? So the way we do it is using the certificate. And I forgot to give a demo. I'll give you a demo as well, how we ensure the integrity of the document. And then the second key aspect is uniquely linking the document to the signatory, right? So the way we do it is using the context ID. So you remember earlier I talked about the context ID where it could be a loan account ID or a user UID linked to that document. So that's how we link up the signatory with the document or with that entity. So I'll just give you a quick demo about the document as well. So if you see over here, this signature panel. So this is this signature panel. This whole thing will appear only and only if you digitally, basically you sign the document with the certificate, right? So this thing will appear. Now, what I have done, like if the document is invalid or not tampered, you'll see that green tick mark over here. That means the document's hash, and then the encrypted hash, basically they match. And what I've done just for this presentation purpose, I have gone ahead and opened this document in Notepad, and I've modified one bit of it and then saved the copy of it. So let me show you that. So if you see over here, you'll see that at least one signature is invalid. That means the document has been tampered. So so if you go ahead and change like even a single bit associated with the PDF document, it will show that signature, which means someone has tampered with the document. Okay. Any questions on this? Any questions? Any specific question? Anything related to open source availability?
Oh, wait, there you go.
When you initially get the URL to do this sign, and you go through it and sign, you go back and click that URL again, does it allow you to?
No,
sign again?
it will not allow.
So it prevents that.
Yeah.
I had that experience yesterday of not completing the form, and clicking sign, and all hell breaks loose. At least with the agency that I was using.
Yeah, and then we support like multi-signatures as well. So right now we are doing something called, we are working on a new industry vertical for equipment financing. This is for business loans. So typically you have a main applicant and then you have a guarantor, right? So, and there could be like multiple guarantors. So once the main applicant signs the document, then we can send the same document to other guarantors to sign it as well. Yeah, and then we can still continue with the questions. Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Why did you choose to render document A when you present your signature?
What? I didn't understand the question.
I mean, in the presentation, you showed up that you save the document first, right? And then when you retrieve it second time, you basically go through the same process.
Right.
Why did you choose not?
We could have used the same document as well, but the challenge would have been like there are like certain variables like the date, sign time, and some of these which are like if you see over there beside the signature there were date time as well, right? We have to we can choose those variables and fill the values over there. Instead of that, we thought that that's an optimization. We could definitely do that. Definitely.
Right.
I was expecting this question.
And from legal standpoint, it's still considered the key because technically user doesn't see what he or she was presented first time, but like okay. Because you save the code and we need to sign it.
Right.
Okay.
A viewer on YouTube asked a one-word question, and what that word was, GitHub, question mark?
I guess if you want to, you have a GitHub repo for your demo.
Right.
Yeah.
So I should, should we
Put that on.
So this is the GitHub. So iCreditWorks. I can paste it in chat as well.
Okay, yeah. Oh, good.
That probably won't work. Let me just see if it's
Yeah, I pasted it.
CreateWorks e-sign, and I CreateWorks e-sign, and
Yeah.
I'll type it
Oh,
into.
Yeah, so that's a big story again. So if you see over here, it has to be like an iCreditWorks. But like when we found it, right? So one of our cloud, the cloud engineers, he went ahead and did a typo over there, and he continued to use it. I pasted in meeting chat.
Yeah, that's not gonna work the way the meeting is set up.
Oh, okay.
I got it. I put it in the YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Any other question?
Going once, going twice. All right, well, let's
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Oh, yeah, I'll go back to the presentation. And we'll have to refresh it since I was updating it during your talk.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Next slide.
Yeah, but do you refresh though? Yeah, so I had to, I had forgotten to make a future. Okay. So perfect. All right. So first of all, thank you for your talk today, and appreciate you making the trip out here. Thankful we had some decent weather. Well, at least not snowy weather. But yeah, so upcoming events. Starting tomorrow is the virtual Payara conference. This is their third edition. They started this last year at the same time. The first one, they had one in June, and this is their third one starting tomorrow. And that's the URL right there. So yeah, so there's 2 days, strategic insight and developer insight, and then the schedule, which is in CET, I think, or Central European time, not 100% sure. But you can see the various topics for the next 2 days. There's a Java user spotlight panel discussion, and we were asked to be part of that. So I look forward to participating with some other groups. I think Chicago, possibly New York. I'm not 100% sure, but stay tuned for that. It's probably around 9:45. I think it's 5-hour difference. But in any event, yes. So these are great conferences that Payara puts on. Thought I had another. Oh, that was it. Yeah. In January is the J Champions Conference, and this is for Java champions. And anybody can join, but the conference is organized and presented by Java champions. Barry's on the steering committee. I was fortunate to have my presentation accepted, so I think I'm on Friday at 10 a.m. So stay tuned for that. It's free, also virtual. DevNexus, I mentioned earlier. Barry, Chandra, and myself both were, or all three of us were lucky enough to get our talks accepted there. So we look forward to being down in Atlanta again. Java 1. This was for the longest time one of the biggest Java conferences, usually over in San Francisco. It's at Redwood Shores, which is south of San Francisco. The big notable thing here is it's Java's 30th birthday, 30th anniversary. It was May 23rd, 1995, when Sun Microsystems introduced Java to the world. So this will be big. I have a Helidon talk that to go out there. So I look forward to that.
It's south. It's right south of San Francisco.
Yeah. Yep. So and this is a new conference by Venkat Subramaniam, the Arc of AI, and this is in the March into April. I misspoke earlier. I said April into May, but so this is in Austin, Texas, and we are a community sponsor along with the New York Java Group and along with the Chicago Java Group. Frank is on the steering committee, and Merrick Bergleski from the Chicago Group is on the steering committee. Venkat has offered us sometime in January a discount code and also one free ticket to raffle off. So stay tuned for that. All right, and then QCon London. InfoQ has these QCon conferences that they have around the world. San Francisco was just last month. So I was out there for that, and that was fun. I was reporting on those talks out there. So the London version, I'll be out there for that, also as a dedicated reporter. So it'd be my first time in London. And then we're going to hop over to Dublin to check out some of the Irish pubs over there. So, so that's in April. So in case you want to fly out and see London, so that'll be fun. Why are you laughing, Scott?
It sounds like a fun trip.
It is. Well, yeah, we got a lot of work to do, so it's not that, No, of course I will. It's only for after hours. All right. So, I behave myself at these conferences. All right. So, all right, and I have a lot of witnesses to corroborate that. But in any event, so it'll be a busy March into April of next year for a lot of us, and we look forward to participating for sure. There are others that are going to be coming up. I'll try to update this as we go. And then upcoming for us. So Scott, who I just reprimanded over there, he's going to be speaking next month on the January 14th on Certified Java. Everything you ever wanted to know about the new features in Java 21 and were afraid to ask. So, and Java 21, why is that? We're on the verge of Java 24. Well, Java 21 is the latest long-term support release until 25 in September of next year. Yeah. But
we are still on Java 8.
Oh man.
And we have like 45 microservices. We want to migrate like whole Java and Spring Boot. Spring Boot is also like 2.5. It's like a huge exercise we want to do. We wanted to plan it year-end, but not year-end.
Well, no, it's really easy, especially with Spring Boot to get to jar how you have some versions that are updated, some versions that are not, and they don't like each other.
Right.
Well, I know in the Spring ecosystem, with Spring 6.2 and Spring Framework 6.2 and Spring Boot 3.4, I know a lot of the other Spring projects are aligning with those too, like Spring Security and so forth, right? Spring Integration. So they had a lot of major updates over the past couple of months. So
hopefully people are on recent versions.
Yes. So so anyway, February, we're still trying to find a speaker for February. If you know anybody who wants to come out, I know we're working on a couple of leads to secure a speaker for February. I don't know. Was that? Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I thought you already booked it.
Yes, we didn't set on the date yet. I appreciate you reminding me. All right. So I'm glad Scott's here to keep it real. All right. And it's kind of interesting how things work out here, right? So originally Ken Rimple from Honeycomb IO, formerly of Chariot Solutions, was going to be here in March, but then asked to move to April. But then, like right after that happened, Andres Alrame, who's going to be at DevNexus, said he'd like to extend his U.S. visit. He lives in Switzerland. And I said, well, Tuesday, March 11th is open. So he said, sure. So he has 3 topics he offered, or a 4th. And we may have our lightning talks, which, by the way, for you students here at Drew, I don't know, I know Diane and Barry.
Yeah, we'll do something for March for sure.
Okay, yeah, so you're going to be corralling students for that? Yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, stay tuned for more details on that. And then, as I mentioned about Ken, he's going to, formal title to be determined, but it's going to be on open telemetry and Spring Boot. And that's well, we're considering April 15th. I don't know. So we'll figure that out.
Interrupt for just a second.
Yes.
From the YouTube is, are you hiring for microservices conversion?
Oh.
No, as of now, no.
I guess not. Okay.
Yeah, because we there's a freeze going on, so hopefully.
Okay. All right.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
So some of our friends of the Garden State Java user group, this is not necessarily any order since I just updated that list within the past half hour. Atlanta Jug has Venkat, who I just mentioned earlier, and that's next Tuesday. And then there's a joint holiday party at the Chicago Java user group with the Chicago Kotlin user group, and then their cloud group. I think it's a time for a road trip next week, you know. So anyway, so that's next
Fancy
week.
Mike going on a road trip.
I know. Yeah. Okay, that's a whole nother story. And then New York Java SIG this Thursday. We're going to have Sean Sullivan and Andres Adamczyk, I think, talking about Amazon S3 for Java developers. And let's see. Oh, and Jeremy Davis over at the Boston Java user group on Tuesday, January 9th. They have their holiday party coming up, I think, this Thursday as well. So we can go to Boston. And then we can go to Chicago. All right. So, all right. So one of the things, you know, a lot of times I take the sign-in sheet and I bring it home, update the attendance list, right? And then I run my application. So that's just seems to be, you know, a lot of extra work, and you know, and it dawned on me like you guys have no idea who won the license in the particular month. All right, so what I decided to do was I put everybody up here for this year who won a license. So if this is a surprise to anyone here, holler. All right, so we'll make sure we get things right. So so in March we had the lightning talks, and all 3 of the presenters got a license to IntelliJ IDEA. So here's a thought. You know, there's a QR code which I'm going to display in a minute. And we use that for anybody who's interested in the raffle. However, what if we use that for the sign-in? Would that be something you wouldn't mind doing when you come in, scan the QR code, put your name and email address? Or would you prefer using the sign-in sheet? And then perhaps during the meeting, I can, you know, get all the names, put it in my my random application.
If we do it that way, can we have it, can you opt out of this?
Well, I think if you, so yeah.
No, this is, you have an opt out, you don't want to win the raffle.
Yeah, well, we could add something in the form, but you know, it's one of these things where, hey, if you know, we have a 6-month rule. If you already won a license within the last 6 months, then you've kind of been ineligible. So if we run it and you win, then we just run it again, you know. So anyway, I want to start something like this next month to make this hopefully a reality and make things a little more efficient. So show of hands. Yes, would you do that? Okay, got a few. Okay, so all right, we'll try that next month. All right, and let's see what else. Oh, you have your random number thing handy?
You want to do what?
Yeah, I want to do the book. We got the.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, because this, you know, this. I mean, the IntelliJ license is a PDF coupon, so that's easy enough to send via email. And plus, the folks on online can participate as well. So let me put that up. Which is right there. So yeah, please enter your name and email address if you're interested. So I think the most efficient thing that Gene Boyarsky does is just have everybody count, right? And so Jordy, you're one.
And if you don't want to participate, you just say skip.
Yeah, this is a great book, so I don't know why anybody would want to, opt out of this. So Jordy's 1, 2, 3.
What is the book, Brian?
Oh, Optimizing Cloud Native Java. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember your numbers, okay? And
Wait a minute, okay, and a number.
Yeah.
And
you had one of these go.
Okay, hold on. Private hours, what do we got up to 5?
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 2,
We have
3,
to
4,
mail it.
5, 6. Okay, the young man behind Bill is number 6. You're 7, 8. You're skipping. Okay, and then 8. The young man in the very back on the left. You're 8. Right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're number 8. This is for the book. 9, 10. No. Okay. All right. So we got 9.
Okay, so
And
I
then-
have people in chat typing numbers in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
between 10 and 20. Let's give them a couple. Seconds.
Yeah. The only thing is we got to mail it to them unless they want to pick it up at some point.
Well, you said people. in the chat.
This is true. Well,
You
yeah.
said that. You're real.
All right. We'll figure something out. So.
Yes. So we got a number here. And another number's gonna come up. More numbers. All right. We will see. If we get a number that's not one of the numbers that have been chosen, then we'll just go again.
Great way to end the year, right?
Isn't it
A
really?
little bit of chaos, but that's okay, right? It's
Chaos is my middle name. Here we go. And not yet. Not yet. 3, number 3.
number 3. 1, 2. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right. All right. Awesome. Any questions? If not,
Oh, I have one comment. If anybody-
Yes.
Wait, whoa.
This one I will take my place. I guess. Let's keep it now. I can see. I'm just gonna say, if anybody's doing admin of code, it's a lot of fun. It starts on December 1st and goes to the 25th. And it's basically a one challenge problem and then a second part to that challenge problem. I don't know if people do them, but they're usually short. Well, they start off short, but by the 15th day, they can be very long. But they're usually fun little math-like challenge, not so all math, but fun computer science problems. So if anybody hasn't done that before, just admin of code.
No.
So I recommend it for this month.
awesome.
I very
Great.
much.
No, don't throw that. It's all right, great. So with that, folks, thank you for your Bill has a question. Sorry. He's got the mic.
Book, pass the test, is that what I need to do to become a Java champion?
Well, I don't know, that's a good question. There are a lot of attributes for being a Java champion. Yes, you got to be
What do I
very.
have to do to be a Java champion?
Well, let's see. You got to be active in the Java community. You need to, I guess, at least write about Java. Be active in a Java user group. Java champions are leaders. I know that's one of the dimensions. What else, Barry? You remember from some of the? Yeah, it's so just so you know, to be a Java champion, someone has to nominate you. And then they have to fill out this form that has these questions. And one of them I just mentioned, Java champions are leaders. And then the person who's doing the nominating needs to, write down why he or she thinks that nominee is worthy of being a Java champion. And then there's a few other questions. And then it goes through a concern process for 2 weeks. Is anybody concerned about so-and-so being a Java champion? Then after the 2 weeks and the voting happens, that's for another 2 weeks. And then,
It's not like a certification. It's not like a certification. It's more like being an advocate, like a developer advocate. So
Yeah,
you
it's
have to
a-
do a lot of outreach, you have to do a lot of speaking, you have to do a lot of engagements, and I'm gonna finish right before you get to the mic.
And how many Java champions are in this group?
You got
Two I
three,
know for
three in the
sure.
leadership.
Yeah.
Myself, Barry, and Chandra. I think that's it. So, yeah, there's about 400 around the world. And I know there's a couple that are being voted on right now. So, but yeah, it's really, for me, it's something that's something to be proud of. I know, I'm proud of being a Java champion, and as you know, I'm very active in the Java community. So yeah, that was a nice surprise in April 24th, 2023. But who remembers these things? So, so
Some of them were granted during COVID.
yeah. So we could talk more offline about that, Bill. So yeah. But if there's nothing else, thank you. First of all, thank you for your support all year long. Thank you for our.
You're gonna show the beer and chocolate slide?
Oh, I got to do that. Sure, of course. Oh, geez, how silly of me. Okay, yes, exactly. So, I forgot there was this Jakarta EE Carol thing that the Omnifish folks put up, but I forgot to put it on here. But our YouTube channel is down there. But first of all, thank you to the Garden State Java User Group leadership, Barry, Paul, Scott, Diane, one of the advisors. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Chandra's not here. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, Neha, yes, Neha's all, yeah. So so thank you for working together to get speakers and get things organized and all that. Certainly appreciate all that help. Thank you to you folks, the members that come every month, especially all you regulars. I appreciate you coming out here to Madison from wherever you live. Happy holidays. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. What's that?
Thank our sponsors.
And of course our sponsors, which I thanked earlier, but yes, Pyara, our gold sponsor, Azul, our silver sponsor, and of course JetBrains. A lot of this won't happen without their support, and we appreciate it. And we work together real well. We want to give you guys the best possible speakers and the best possible presentation. So have a great holiday, everybody.